Gentleman from Georgia, Mr. Scott, is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Chairman Lynch. And I appreciate those kind words that you had to say and appreciate your leadership on this. But Mr. Hill is right. Big data and privacy are critical to fintechs. Our technology now is moving at warp speed. It's every day it seems like it's something else we have to adjust. And I'll tell you why. It's been 20 years since the enactment of Gramm-Leach-Bailey, which is the law predominantly governing the treatment of big data and privacy protection in all of the financial sphere. But since that time, we've seen extraordinary technological development that has changed the way consumers interact with financial services. And just in recent days, members of the Senate Commerce and Judiciary Committee have released a set of privacy and data protection principles to underpin a broad privacy framework. And I'm sure you all are probably aware of what the Senate has done. But among these principles are the minimization of the data collected, limitations on the way data can be shared between service providers and third parties. So thinking about the way that our financial technology has evolved and understanding how the value of data itself has increased, how can our great financial technology grow in a way that incorporates key privacy protections? Mr. Cardinal, let me start with you.
Well, thank you for the question. And I'd go back to our 5 core principles of control, where you put the customer in control of their data. Transparency, so they know and see what's going on in a real way. Traceability, access, and of course, security. Now, I mentioned earlier, I talked about NIST. NIST sets a lot of the government framework for data control and cybersecurity, and one of their core principles is data minimization. And good risk governance mandates data minimization, and we have that in our security principle as well. And the use cases we're defining set out that you should only return the data necessary to achieve a particular purpose. For example, again, tax return or doing budgeting, only get the data you need to do that one thing. So those 5 key principles really guide what we do, and I think fit hand in glove with the points you raise.
Mr. Kamara, I think I pronounced your name right. In recent years, we have seen 2 major pieces of privacy legislation passed in California and in the European Union. These 2 pieces of legislation appear to shift towards what we call a Bill of Rights model, in which a consumer can have a certain expectation of what privacy protections exist. Do you agree with this assessment?
Yes, I do. I also think that the excitement around financial technologies is great, but what I would like to see is as much excitement around privacy technologies. APIs are definitely an improvement over screen scraping, but I think we can still do better. We can bring minimization, we can minimize the amount of data collected down to 0 if we invest in the right technologies.
Well, in your opinion, in these 2 areas where this legislation impacted, how would you assess their progress?
Well, I'm not, I'm a computer scientist, I'm a cryptographer, so this is not exactly what I work on every day. I think from my vantage point, what I think one of the benefits is that it's forcing industry to actually have to put in real practical technological measures to protect consumer privacy, and I think that's a very positive outcome.
And do any of you feel, in addition to you, Mr. Kamara, that have any challenges have arisen with the implementation of these laws that may be helpful to us and instructive on a national basis?
So I think, I mean, there's surely challenges to implementing, any, implementing any policy, but I think these challenges are surmountable, right? We can use technology to do incredible things. We can use technology to provide privacy as well, so.
And do you feel comfortable that we are? Oh, all right, thank you.
I thank the gentleman. The chair now recognizes the gentleman from Ohio, Mr. Davidson, for 5 minutes.
I thank the chairman. I thank the committee.